So, I first started making soap when I was back in 1997. How that came about was my brother had this book, and he let me read it because he was interested in making soap, right? So I took a month. I was visiting from Connecticut, and we lived in Columbia, South Carolina at the time. And I was on vacation, so I had plenty of time to read the book. I took notes, made little spreadsheets, stuff like that, just dissecting the entire book and the entire process. So when it finally came to it, he invested, in raw material, went and got this dope wood tray made for the soaps and everything like that. But this was 20 some years ago, so I was using the hand spatula, trying to be a traditional handmade soap guy. And the process took like about a day and a half of just hand stirring it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was one of those deals. And when it was finally finished, poured it into the mold, he looked at it and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna give you this book. You can have it and you can go back to Connecticut with it because I'm gonna do something else. That process took too long. It was just one of those things because it was first time out, first time doing it. So he was like, yeah, I'm good. But I mean, I had done so much research and reading from that one book. I was like, nah, I'm gonna make this work.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make this work. So I tried it a couple more times when I was in Connecticut. Put it down for a while. I came back to it a couple of years ago. A couple of years later, living in Columbia, South Carolina. Invested in more product. Still had that same wood tray, but it got wise and decided to look at the back of the book. Now, keep in mind, this was like pre-internet days. You couldn't just, search soap recipes and have
Videos pop up.
Videos and stuff like that. This is, so I had to go to the index of the book. Found some oil suppliers, some essential oil suppliers, and started calling them, doing more research, and come to find out two people that I was working with probably had about 50 years of soap making under the belt combined. So that was my library. It was my library. So one of the guys suggested get a hand mixer, right? So the process went from a day and a half of just doing this to maybe 5.5 minutes per batch.
Oh wow!
It's still being handmade. That's how I rationalized it. It's still handmade. And eventually I started putting essential oils into it just for fragrances. I've done a few fragrance oils, like perfume oils that didn't work well. But I found that essential oils work better. Somehow the molecular structure along with the oils
Binded
meshes
to
better.
it, yeah.
It fine-tuned it. Plus we had fragrance. So, as I evolved as a soap maker, I take peppermint, I add ground peppermint to it. Perfect blend, lemongrass, so forth and so on. I was doing so many different combinations of herbs and spices. I just decided to stick with what works. Like, putting paprika and peppermint during the holidays might look cool because it's swirled and it's red and white. People think of candy cane, but any other time I'm just going to use peppermint because the medicinal value of it is going to be the same.
Right.
I'm kind of like, I stick with my guns. I stick with what works. I experiment a little bit, maybe in design and maybe an artistic flair, but the soap itself is always going to be the same. Right? The base oil. It's olive, coconut, palm oil base. And that's it. That's just going to be the no nuts, no oil with nuts in them. The palm oil is sustainable, organic, so no deforestation going on.
Yeah, it's good to know.
So that's always a talking point. But as I began to get involved in energy work, right, that's when it got real interesting. Because I was adding Reiki. I don't have any bars on here. That sucks, I don't have it. But basically, if you see like a line or something at the top of the bar, that's a when it's full, I do my Reiki symbols in it to give it some type of charge, some type of divine intellectual value, right? as I grew and evolved into reading about astrology and the cycles of the full moon and stuff like that, that's when it got even more interesting. Because see, what happens is I use sodium hydroxide. It's a salt. It's an acidic salt. Add water to it to dissolve it. It becomes lye. So the lye-based soap is pretty much what's known as a cold process, because I'm using the molecules of the sodium hydroxide to draw the fat content of the oils together to consolidate into a bar of soap. Right?
Okay.
And from that, the essential oils are added, nutrients. The nutrients of the base oils stay the same. It's just it loses the fat molecules, and it just coagulates into a solid bar. So, you know,
Beautiful.
it's oil based. It's cold processed, meaning I don't use any external heat. Some soap makers will put it all together and then cook it for a long period of time. You're still using heat, but you're not. It's just a different type of process. So from that, as I got involved into dealing with the cycles of the moon, the water that I use, I soak it in the full moon light. Okay? And it sits overnight until it's ready. Then I'll take it and mix the the solution. From there, I was, so as I was studying or reading up on like the full moon cycles and how the energy shifts throughout the cycles of the month, right? I take my water and I'll soak it in the full moon. I'll let it sit overnight and let it charge, right? Then from there, I'll take the water and add it to the sodium hydroxide and get my lye solution. Then I'll wait for the new moon. That's when I actually put the soaps together. Why? Because as a soap maker, as an alchemist,
Yes.
as an energy mover and manipulator, what better product than to make during the new moon cycle, where that's a moment where it's a cloak of divine cleansing, divine darkness, where you can kind of bury your burdens, bury your energetic anchors, and enter into the full moon cycle with all of your intentions that you want, less anchored from what you no longer need. So with that energy, that's where I put together, Open the Way, right? You have eucalyptus. No, it's a blend of tea tree and eucalyptus. And eucalyptus is known to open the respiratory system, which is in conjunction with the heart space, right? And tea tree, from what I've read, is known to open or to help balance, not open or close, but to help bring some type of stability to all 7 chakras, all the way up. So, Open the Way is more than a suitable title, right? So, then I use patchouli to help harmonize the root chakra.
That's my favorite right there.
Yes. Now the color, a lot of people, the majority of people who have ever, told me, well, I don't like patchouli, it smells too la 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 la. When I combine it with cinnamon, this fresh ground cinnamon, it sweetens it a little bit, right? It makes it more suitable, right?
Yeah.
So with that, patchouli is done.
Bye.
Sacral, which is lemongrass, and also peppermint, which is for heart space.
Yes.
All of the chakras are. I have 4 chakras. I have 4 chakras available, and then crown, right?
Yes.
So, like I said, what better tool to use than something that's made within the new moon cycle?
With all that love and energy.
What's that?
Yeah, with all that love and energy.
Yeah, indeed.
Intention.
You got to realize that Reiki energy is divine intelligence, so it's already familiar with your intentions. So you just wash yourself, cleanse yourself, you renew yourself. It knows exactly what to do.
Exactly.
All right.
Beautiful.
All right. Cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.